Thank you. Okay, sorry about that.
2009 to 2017.
I thought about it. All right, here we go.
Another name for the conspiracy was also called the birther conspiracy, although a lot of people who believed in it didn't like that because it was meant to be kind of mocking. There we go. So, these first started in 2004, around the time that Obama was running for U.S. Senator. And they're kind of traced back to internet rumors, first about Obama's religion. A lot of these rumors claimed that Obama was actually Muslim. And then in 2008 is when a lot of the rumors about Obama's birthplace started spreading. And a lot of these rumors said that Obama was born in Kenya. With that specific rumor is where the conspiracy really is, because the idea was that Obama couldn't actually run for president since he was born in Kenya. Now, a lot of these conspiracies were spread kind of just on conservative websites online. However, in 2008, a bunch of Hillary Clinton supporters would also start spreading the rumor when he was running against her for the Democratic nomination. And then one of the most important people that spread it was Trump. Now, for evidence of the conspiracy, there's not a lot other than his dad was born in Kenya, and that there's no proof. A lot of people claimed that he wasn't born, or that he was born in the U.S. And then on top of that, as you can see, the sign clearly states that he was born in Kenya, and it was not photoshopped at all. As for evidence against it, there was a bit. Obama's campaign would release his short form and later his long form birth certificate. On top of that, you can find newspapers online, Honolulu newspapers, talking about his birth, like stating that he was born. And then on top of that, of course, there's people he knew growing up and that sort of thing that can give witness testimonies. Now, one important person we should cover for this, especially for the effects of this conspiracy theory, is Trump. In 2011, Trump would start saying that he doubted Obama was born in the U.S. And by kind of spreading this, Trump was able to gain a lot of political power and just attention. And when Trump first started running for president, a majority of his supporters were people who believed in the birther conspiracy. In 2011 is also when Obama would eventually release his long-form birth certificate. And at that point, Trump would claim that he ended the conspiracy there and take credit for that. However, he would not. In 2012, he would tweet about how he thought that some of the papers were fraudulent. And then in 2013, he would post a tweet talking about how one of the health officers that, released Obama's long birth certificate died, and he would allude to the fact that that was done by Obama or his campaign. Now, as for why people believed this, first reason is just racist. It was an extremely racist conspiracy theory. Most of the backing for it was because he was black. But the other reason why people believed it was just kind of out of desperation. During a lot of times that the rumors started spreading were during key moments and elections for Obama. And a lot of times they were kind of a reaction to seeing that Obama was popular or doing well, and they would try to attack him in that way. The other reason with people like Trump is for power. By spreading this conspiracy theory, he was able to gain a lot of political power and just kind of attention, and is what ultimately one of the key factors to him being able to run for president and eventually win the presidential election. As for the truth, obviously he's not born in Kenya. And then as for his religion, he is Protestant Christian. However, it doesn't even really matter either way if he's Muslim or Christian. And this conspiracy theory is so kind of lacks so much evidence and really just is based off nothing, to the point where even the people who first spread it and claim to believe in it have since then said they don't, or have just kind of stopped talking about it, because the whole point of this conspiracy theory was not that they believed in it truly, but because they didn't like Obama. And that's it. Yeah, TJ. Obama's first name? Brock.
And obviously your first one, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the title. Yeah.
5 reasons is really suspected.
a fun one.
Wow. Yeah, you told me about that one.
Yeah, that one was.
Oh, I want to go to that side.
Let me ask you a question. You know, but yeah.
Well, biblical reasons.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think President Trump, because once you're president, you're basically always president, even though you're not president, did he believe him? Do you think he believed him?
No. And since then, he's even said that he knows Obama was born in the U.S. So.
Can you imagine President Trump? Can you imagine Trump being questioned where he was born?
Yes.
Very old. His grandfather was born in Germany, but no one ever says, well, he's not. There's an element there. So, does it matter?
No.
All right, good job. Nice. By the way, that is the legacy of slavery. Because Obama is of African and European descent. Yet because if your mother's a slave, you're a slave. All that matters is just any kind of African descent. And you're considered black when I don't know why that matters, but you notice he's not considered white.
No, yeah, and you ask a lot of people and they don't even know that Obama is mixed race.
And most people of African descent in the United States are also of European descent too. I think I have to. You send it?
I just sent it. Should be called CIA.
Or
You expect me to open up something labeled CIA?
Tussling in action. You know that doesn't start with a C.
oh, I thought you said CIA. Sorry.
Give me one sec.
It's all good.
Well, I heard E's.
Yeah.
He's actually jumping.
Give me one sec. Go.
All right. First off, I want to ask, how's everyone feeling tonight? Everyone excited?
Woo!
Yeah. All right.
It's tonight somewhere.
Time's relative, but I did mine on the Central Intelligence Agency, or known as the CIA, and how they've assassinated people. The CIA, their official mission statement, this was taken from their website, is to gather, process, and analyze national security information from around the world by use for the US government. As you will see, they do a lot more than gather, process, and analyze. Fidel Castro, there's Fidel. Everyone say hello to Fidel. But he ideologically was a Marxist-Leninist, and he served as the head of state in Cuba for many, many years. As leader, he nationalized industry in Cuba. He's a very polarizing figure. Ask people, and they're polarized to say the least. And he was also the hero of the Cuban Revolution. And after the Cuban Revolution, that's when he assumed power. He was very well liked by the people in Cuba, especially after the revolution. And there's Nelson Mandela and Fidel's brother Raul. Everyone say hello to Raul. But The U.S. was not a big fan of Cuba or Fidel Castro. One reason was they were allied with the Soviets. Another reason was just that they were a left-wing government. And the CIA attempted many, many times to assassinate him. Some of my favorites were they hired the mafia to try and assassinate him. They used exploding cigars, which we've talked about lots in class. One I found out, they filled a scuba suit because Fidel was really into scuba diving with tuberculosis to try and give him tuberculosis so he would die. And another one, they just had the classic, like spy movie. They had a pen, a ballpoint pen that contained poison, and when he pressed down on the pen cap, it would release this poison gas that would kill him. So he died of natural causes, and his brother Raul took over the country. So yeah, none of those attempts succeeded, obviously. Salvador Allende, he was the first Marxist to be elected president in Latin America. Oh, I would like to say the Fidel Castro stuff, that's not a theory. Like, there's substantial proof that all that happened. I'd like to preface that. Same with this. We don't know all the evidence, but there is reason to believe that the U.S. had a part in Allende's death. But, sorry, back to this. He was the first Marxist to ever be elected president in Latin America. He was also a Marxist-Leninist. He served as the 28th president of Chile from those times. And soon after he was elected, he started a widespread plan to restructure the economy, which included fighting poverty, giving scholarships to indigenous people to try and get their education on level with everyone else, and just overall trying to improve the conditions of working class people. And he committed suicide after a coup d'etat.
What is it? What is a?
A coup d'etat is a armed uprising. It was led by the military and Augusto Pinochet, but the U.S. was involved in PSYOPs, psychological operations, for 10 years. They were also involved in Chile elections from those times as well. So during the time Salvador Allende was elected, the CIA spent $12 million on harming Allende's reputation before the election, because they very much did not want him to get elected. Project Fubelt engineered conditions for the coup by helping the military and Augusto Pinochet, and just overall sowing seeds of dissent and hatred towards Allende. And Pinochet, who took control afterwards, his coup was basically backed by the U.S. government, and he was an extremely brutal dictator that destroyed the lives of many Chileans. So, and while we're not entirely sure of the extent of this involvement, we know the CIA was fairly involved with this coup and essentially did lead to Allende's death and overthrow.
One more thing I'll add there. Do you know who was probably directed into the U.S.? We've had him before.
Kissinger. Yep. There's John F. Kennedy. The F stands for ferret, as we all know. But some people believe that JFK was assassinated by the CIA. He had plans to cut the CIA budget by 20%. So obviously the CIA would not like that. They would not be a big fan. Apparently he was also too soft on communism, a lot of believers believe, when compared to the CIA, who were very anti-communism and anti-left-wing government. Lee Harvey Oswald was actually killed before he could be tried, so people also thought that was the CIA covering their tracks and shooting him before he could snitch on everyone else. And Jim Garrison, who was the New Orleans district attorney at the time, was a heavy proponent of this theory and did investigations into it. Nothing was substantiated, but he was a fairly high political figure who did believe in this theory. And a lot of people think he was killed to uphold the military-industrial complex, as with his living, people thought he would ease tensions with the Soviet Union and with Cuba, and military contractors would get a lot less contracts, and it would just decrease value and stuff. And there is a picture of JFK, and then that is JFK from Clone High. It's a good show where JFK is a character. Yeah. Are there more? Yeah, there are. both unfounded and some with evidence. I can't go into them all here, but some examples are Zim. We talked about him earlier. The CIA knew about the coup, and they were just like, yeah, we're not going to do much about it. Then there's Trujillo, who was a brutal dictator. Trujillo was Latin America. I can't think of specifics at the moment. What?
Dominican Republic.
That sounds right. And then there is Sukarno, who was also another Latin American leader. I can't forget. And then Madawi, who was Indonesia, yeah. And then Madawi, who was a general in Iraq. This is a cartoon by Ben Garrison. I don't know if you guys know who political cartoonist Ben Garrison is, but highly recommend looking up his work. I'm not going to say anything more, but the effects of these conspiracies and, I guess conspiracies and conspiracy theories is lots of distrust towards the government. So that it also leads to people wanting more accountability for the CIA. In the 70s, there was a group called the Church Commission who actually investigated CIA dealings, and that's how we have a lot of this information. And people still vouch for more accountability for the CIA for today. And it can also pretty easily lead to more conspiracies, especially along the lines of the Cabal or the New World Order or the Illuminati. Like those kinds of dangerous conspiracy theories it can lead to. Do I believe? It's kind of. I don't believe the JFK one, or no, that's tough. I think the JFK one needs more evidence to convince me 100%. But I would say now that I am fairly in the camp of he was not assassinated by the CIA, but like if stuff does come out, I don't know. But the other stuff with how much evidence we have, it's hard for me not to believe, especially when it comes to Allende and Castro, because those are just fact. But some of the other ones, I also believe because, the CIA has done a lot of bad stuff, and obviously they're very secretive. So it makes sense that they would cover this stuff up. And I didn't have a high regard of the CIA before this, so probably showing my bias there. But yeah, I believe some of this stuff could be true. And yeah.
Does the CIA still kill people like this?
They actually, I forget which president, but a president outlawed assassinations in the U.S. So it was Ford. So now they refer to it as targeted killing. And most of it is now done with drone strikes, which takes accountability away from these organizations. But in effect, yes, the terminology is just different. And the justification is, the U.S. doesn't assassinate because it's outlawed, so what we're doing isn't assassinations. So it's very messed up. This project made me really sad, so if you want to get sad, research more into this.
Wow, you were so jolly in the beginning.
Yeah,
it is pretty depressing.
Woo, go America.
Any questions? Good job. Yeah, this really would lead to a lot of good trust. But when we do assassinations, I can do the Kennedy assassination. We'll go through all the details about it. That is a pretty amazing one. You would not believe the conspiracies. Who would like to go next?
Dude, this completely sounds like yeah, like it's some of that stuff is just so ridiculous.
I like this tuberculosis.
Yeah, if you're gonna kill a person, you might as well be creative.
And you have to try this. Who did, before we get started, who did MK Ultra get out, right?
Yeah.
So they also try to
Yeah, the CIA was behind it.
try to do LSC on them too. They try to make them act really crazy by getting them to inhale LSD.
CIA loves their LSD.
Here we go.
Oh no, wait, hey, there's a video.
We broke it.
Wrong way, we'll go that way.
I know, and it's actually surprisingly hard to use the mouse when it's on the podium. It's really hard. So So we're just all gonna laugh at you while you do this. You
Uh-huh.
want me to do it?
Hold on, I'm showing.
You got it.
You're so close.
There you go.
No, I go back, there's a video of the astronaut in the title page.
Just leave the mouse there, just.
There, see it moves, that's all I wanted. Okay.
Thank goodness.
Well, it knew, it was cool. Okay, so I did the Mars conspiracy, which is basically the conspiracy that there's life on Mars. Typically, like alien civilizations, but it's a pretty broad spectrum. Jeez. Can you
Don't
press
touch.
it? Okay, so starting out with some background. The whole Mars conspiracy kind of started with the invention of telescopes. Astronomers would look up into space and see like foreign objects and claim that it was signs of alien civilizations. As technology increased, especially like the mid 17th century and late 18th century, it was proven that there was like polar ice caps on Mars and that they were like shrinking. They were growing and shrinking, alternate with like the summer and winter of each hemisphere, and like more and more similarities to Earth were found on Mars, like the time of day, like the lighting and like the light and dark orbital of the sun. Then the boom of theories with the 20th century was like a rapid increase in technology, like the NASA satellites and everything, and I'll get to that later. Can you press it for me? Sorry. I can't figure it out. Okay, and so like the public was ready for this conspiracy because one, the increasing technology gave conspiracy theories such like a I spelled platform wrong, but that's okay. It gave the conspiracy theories such a platform to share their theories and then have more believers. And then this technology gave so much information to the public that they didn't know, that it made them realize that they knew a lot less than they thought they did, and that created fear. And then realized that people kind of have power over them, and I think that showed that then they needed to create a different world to show why all of that was happening. I'm sorry. Okay, and so going back to telescopes, they really jump-started this whole idea that there was civilizations on Mars. They were first invented in 1608. Like again, astronomers would look into space and think that they ended up seeing like foreign objects. It was proven to be faulty, just bad telescopes, because it was when they were first invented, obviously not as advanced as they are now. Yeah, so yeah. No. Okay, I think I got
I'll
it.
do it.
Hold on.
You got it?
There you go. Okay, so this, again, with advancement in technology, NASA and created satellites and everything. So these two pictures were, these two ones are major proof that the believers used to back a ton of their theories. These are the two most well-known ones that I've found. The face on Mars, this one, it was captured by the NASA's ESA's Mars Express satellite. And this is a picture of the Sedona region, which is known for being very like rocky terrain. This picture was actually really impressive that they took it, because it took like 2 years to take the picture because of the amount of debris and the challenges with the orbit around Mars. But NASA sent this to search for subsurface water from orbit, and then it ended up finding methane in the environment. But the conspiracy theorists claim that the alien civilizations put the symbol down to prove one. Like there was multiple theories about it. The ones that I found was just to prove their existence, or just like threat Earth and just tell them that they're here and ready to fight. They just want to fight with Earth, I guess. And then this first one, and then this one was a pyramid on Mars, and this one was captured by the Curiosity rover NASA sent up there, and NASA sent it to determine whether life was habitable to microbial life, and it ended up finding sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and carbon. But the conspiracy theorists claim that Martians built it, and that shows that they're there. Also, another theory that goes along with that picture is that a type of intelligent life has populated the planet at some point. So they're saying that has been there for numerous years, like parallel to Earth, like the ancient Egyptian period, and that this alien civilization got nuked by another one, and that's why no one is on there, and that's just why that's there.
So they left Earth alone, that's what I was like. But they left Earth alone.
Yes.
But, yeah.
They're good. They're good people.
Or bad.
They all died. I don't know. Okay, and then. Okay. So, and the conspiracy theorists claim that NASA is like similar to the moon landing. That they're like manipulating all of these pictures and hiding information from the public. And again, I think that the conspiracy theorists claim that the government is doing this because NASA is taking bribes from alien civilizations. There's like no evidence for that. I just thought that was kind of funny. And then the government doesn't want the public to know that there are like other civilizations with more power. The government doesn't want to cause panic. And then I think that there's so much unknown that the conspiracy theorists just needed something to bring. Okay.
You need to click the arrow, you just click on the screen.
I am. What was there one in between? Okay, so some extra fun theories that I found was that children were being kidnapped for a slave colony on Mars.
That is fun.
So there was obviously not a lot of evidence on this one, but the person who claimed to this theory was Robert David Steele. I found this on a guest. He was a guest on Alex Jones' radio show. Yes, very, very credible source. He believes that there's a colony on Mars that is populated by children that were kidnapped and sent into space. And this space ride that they did was a 20-year ride. There was no evidence why it was 20 years, but it was because they didn't have an option to go back to Earth. And then this Robert David Steele, who's very known for making up all kinds of conspiracy theories, he claims that 90% of NASA missions are secret, and that he knows people and has friends in NASA that has told him that he will have no idea, that he has no idea of what's going on. Which but and then another one was alien colony on Mars that's against Earth. The proof to that one was the face on the Earth, just that picture of the face was like a symbol to show their threats towards humanity because they have a hate for it.
Click on ET.
By the way, who is kidnapping the children, did they say?
Aliens.
Yes. Okay.
And last thing that affects this conspiracy is that this conspiracy just has been widely known just because of movies and stuff, kind of has a platform because people use it as entertainment. And it has placed doubt in NASA which influences the public to not believe in future advancements, which can become problematic and then distract from real world problems. There we go. And beliefs, I personally do not think that there are any types of aliens or humans, civilizations on space. And it is scientifically impossible for humans to live on Mars due to its weak atmosphere. It doesn't have water on it, which means water, no food, and the oxygen levels are too high to breathe. So with no food, water, or air, you can't really live.
Yeah, figure yourself.
There we go.
Any questions? Yeah, you see, there's like cheesy movies and all that with it in there. Yeah, it's good. Good job. Wow, good job. One thing I want to add though, at the turn of the last century, did you catch the thing about the canal?
A little bit, like how, like, through the telescopes, you know, like the canals are around the canals and other civilization.
Yeah, they put these maps out. Say one thing real quick about Mars. They put these maps of Mars with all these canals and roads. And people thought, oh, it must be real. I remember being in school, in elementary school, and Mr. Walker, my fourth grade teacher, telling us, there's Martians, they have roads and canals. I know what you're saying. That was even before they had telescopes, close. And one more thing. Out of that's going to come a fantastic book that kind of feeds into this. It's a great story.
The New Testament.
No. Well,
John Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
have you heard of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds? About Martian invasion. It's a fantastic book. And a horrific movie with Tom Cruise.
And it's based on a true story.
That's redundant, isn't it?
Oh, is it, the movie with Tom Cruise? Is he like a?
He's in it, so you know it's bad.
Yeah.
It's redundant. Bad movie and Tom Cruise. It's not redundant. It's like saying, you know.
Yeah, I think you don't think Top Gun's
That's unfair.
Tom Cruise is hit or miss.
But.
He is strong. And he's
I saw that at the theater and I'm embarrassed by it. Yeah. Yeah, there might be some ice on there, yeah. But to actually live there would be incredibly difficult. You'd have to basically live underground and paperclip. Operation Paperclip. Who likes Top Gun?
Every
My mom is.
Yes. If you say your mom doesn't like
We're talking
something,
about famous Toms. Okay, you swap that up.
Did I?
yeah, Tom with the shower. It's all next.
But
You got a PDF. I'm not sure how you did it.
I got this computer, so I'm still trying to figure out how to save stuff.
So scroll.
Okay.
Alright. You just got to center the best you can. Scroll back. Oh, you get to scroll back down. And let me get it on the big screen and then we'll go. Let me do it. I know. Just give me the spiral. Alright, you just got the scroll. It won't. For some reason it just. Alright, here we go. Okay.
Okay, so I did Operation Paperclip. The name will make sense in a minute. So just a little bit of background. Oh, this is gonna be hard to scroll.
I know it's gonna be a pain, but you're fine.
So going on during this time, Operation Paperclip took place almost immediately after World War II and right when Cold War was starting to pick up in pace. Also going on during this time was the Red Scare and the space race. The space race was one of the main motives of Operation Paperclip. Okay, it's going up now. Alright, so Operation Paperclip was the removal of Nazi scientists in Germany and bringing them over to the US and giving them jobs in our government, because it was almost a known fact that the Nazis, or it wasn't a known fact, but it was believed that the Nazis were ages ahead of anyone else with their science and their weaponry. So these are all the scientists that were brought over. There was 88 total, they tried for 1,600 and were only able to bring over 88 that ended up having a successful career in the U.S. So obviously, Nazi scientists probably weren't the best dudes. So President Harry Truman approved or did not approve of them coming over with criminal records because he didn't want that reputation to spark in the U.S. So the JIOA, the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, wiped the backgrounds of all of these scientists and gave them pretty much a blank sheet and brought them over to the U.S. Truman at the time was not aware of this. It later came out, I think it was like 45 years after it actually happened. They released what all the scientists had actually been involved with, and it was stuff like the Holocaust and just a lot of nasty stuff.
Who is that?
That's Werner Von Braun.
The guy before.
Oh, that was one of them. I didn't write his name down, but he was on one of the topics, and he was like one of the guys that ended up getting in trouble when they brought him over because he was just such a scumbag, I guess.
That's actually Lucky Luciano. He's a gangster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He wasn't a Nazi.
Okay, well, when I was on it, there was a bunch of stuff about
That's what
pictures
probably
of
gets
him.
up on the internet. Either they give you a picture of somebody at random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's Operation Paperclip. And
Well, I know that's.
So of the 16 scientists, Werner Von Braun was the most famous. He was credited for the creation of the V-2 rocket, which was responsible for thousands of deaths in Europe during World War II. He was probably the biggest changing factor for us in the space race. He later became the director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, and he also was the chief architect of the Saturn V spaceship, or not spaceship, the rocket that was sent up. It's kind of crazy that someone with a history like that was able to also come over here and be just as successful. Here's a video. I don't know how I'm going to play this.
Let me.
He's the director of what?
NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. I put this video in just so you could see like how strong his German accent was, because it was crazy that someone with this history was able to be so high up and have such a big influence on.
Well, there's undoubtedly a prestige element involved in being the first on the moon, but I think the real significant thing about the Apollo program, our lunar landing program, is that it serves as a focusing point for a vast scientific and technological effort that could never.
So as you can tell, he's very German. Very strong German accent.
You move a second, I'll get it out of there.
Have been mounted.
I can't see.
Yeah, break.
Because it's a great move. Move your whole body. All right.
So the primary reasoning for Operation Paperclip is obviously the space race, and we were pretty afraid of the Soviets getting the upper hand on us by gaining all these scientists. So there's actually a TV show about them going over and capturing all these scientists, which I thought was pretty interesting. So after Operation Paperclip and after they released all this stuff about their histories being wiped or their backgrounds being wiped, it led to a lot of it raised the question of what else is our government doing that is very corrupt. And it's also important to mention that the JIOA, which was responsible for bringing them all over, was later disbanded because of how corrupt it was. Operation Paperclip also led to MKUltra, which Alex did. And everything about Operation Paperclip was factual. I tried to dig a little bit deeper and find if there was anything like where the conspiracy got even deeper and crazier. And there was some stuff I found about how like Nazis wanted that to happen so that they could bring their influence over into America, which I thought was just a little bit too absurd to put into a PowerPoint, but that's
But
pretty
you had to tell us anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Good job. That's Werner Von Braun. Is that the picture of him and Kennedy?
Huh? Yeah.
Picture of him and Kennedy together? Good
Yeah.
job. By the way, were the Nazis ahead in science?
No.
That's a leading question. No, they actually didn't trust science at all because science, twofold. Scientific evidence doesn't fit into highly ideological people who went after the belief system. And secondly, a lot of the scientists were what?
Jewish.
Jewish. All right, so we got a couple more of these tomorrow, and then we will do the moon landing. Okay, so really quick, one more thing. So put it away. Speaking of conspiracies, one just came up today on CNN.
Oh, that's exciting.
And CNN, tries to be, CNN's an interesting network because you've got to remember something about news network. They're trying to sell. They got to run stuff all the time. They don't do a lot of research. They had a big story about how we've had this horrific inflation in the United States. And right now, families who have to buy milk are spending so much. Milk used to be $1.99, the story said. But now it's at like $3.63 a gallon. And if you buy 12 gallons of milk, think how much money now you spend. Now, first off, let's get to the reality of this. How many people drink routinely, how many gallons, 12 gallons of milk? Yeah, besides us in here.
I drink a lot.
But even if you do that, were those numbers true?
No.
When was the last time milk was $1.99? You were not alive. I was alive. And secondly, yeah. One more thing. Hey, one more thing about milk. How much has milk gone up since what it says basically is because of COVID, and basically trying to lay the idea that somehow this is mismanagement by the administration. It could be both Trump and Biden. Really depends on why you're watching CNN. How much was milk when COVID began? 362. What is it now?
363.
How much has it gone up? Now, in some areas it has gone localized, and there aren't real shortages. But they're trying to play this fear, and there's like a conspiracy to hold this. By the way, there is actually a big shortage. And this comes not of milk, but it could lead to a shortage of milk.
This could.
Nitrogen fertilizer. Where does fertilizer come from?
Cow.
No.
Ground.
No. No.
Nitrogen.
The same, yes, where does nitrogen come from?
The factory.
Where does it come from? The air. They pull it from the air. Where do you think gunpowder comes from? They pull it from the air. But it requires a lot of natural gas. There's a shortage of natural gas, and you pull it from the air.
Natural
I
gas.
can pull nitrogen out of there if I want to. Please don't. I do what I want. So, wait. Now, will this lead to milk, though? If there's a shortage, Russia has cut back on natural gas production. Why? To raise prices.
Because they want us to have weaker bones, so they can take over our.
Well, as far as I know, I don't eat natural gas. But you need natural gas to pull the nitrogen out of the air. Pull it out of the air. Try it. It works. But now there's raw nitrogen. And we get a significant amount of natural gas from Germany and France. We're going to cut back on production. If we cut back production, what does that mean? There'll be less nitrogen fertilizer in food production, so there'll be potential bread might be more expensive next year. And what do cows eat?
Grass.
Other cows. That's where you get mad cows. But that's another story. That's actually really true.
I'm telling you, they don't Russia. They want to weaken our bones by taking away our.
By the way, no, seriously though. Seriously. Before we look at our picture, you see how that could work though. There are realities, and that makes people miss the actual real thing. What's the real thing? Yeah, fertilizer shortage. And there's going to be basically roaming gangs of people stealing bread from us. And all you people drink your 4 gallons of milk a day? No way. Huh? You don't like milk? I used to drink a lot of milk when I went home.
Really?
The food was so bad, I ate straight up. I was
I
eating
get sick of it.
Did you need to have
Just to clarify for everybody.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. Ooh, Doritos. I wonder if he eats Doritos now.
Nitrogen. Gunpowder.
By the way, if it says nitrates, you know what that is? Do you know what, if it says nitrates, you know what that means? You don't want to know. It involves Oh, you're TV? No, I got it. You love Paul. Thank you. Make sure you pay attention to the government. Well, that's the one. No, it's unused speakers. Oh my goodness. Nope, he needs speakers right now. He's kind of good.